Hey, it's Nick. I just wanted to come on before the episode. Unfortunately, on Tuesday, I lost a friend, fan, and one of my former instructors. His name was Dennis O'Neill. He was always a huge fan of me. He was always a huge fan of what I did. He's a huge reason why I'm where I am today. And to be honest, he's a huge reason why this podcast is a thing, why we are doing this right now. He helped us get it started, getting it going. Unfortunately, we lost him. We'll never forget him, and I wanted to dedicate this episode to Dennis O'Neill for everything he did for me and this podcast, and may he rest in peace. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the episode.
Discontinued
Gravy.
Gravy.
Discontinued
Gravy.
Goal: to simplify life and make it fun.
Because we've been there.
I mean, we're in our mid-20s.
So we've seen it all.
This is
Discontinued
Gravy. Gravy. It's gravy, baby.
Gravy.
It's gravy.
I wasn't expecting that monster voice to come out.
It just kind of came out. I was just before this. Like, my voice can do funny things when I've been broadcasting like for many days in a row.
But wait, what have you been doing, Nick?
Well, I had a couple SVU games this weekend, so I've been doing a hockey broadcast. Like, oh, shoot your scores, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and then that's about it. But 2 days in a row, plus work in the depot, and you talk at the depot, so my voice has been getting a workout. And as much as my voice is naturally free, as we learned in school, I didn't listen to those lessons very well. So here we are. It's not like it hurts. Like it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm dying. But so I guess it's
have
working.
The smoky, raspy voice, Nick. It's just a little deeper.
A little deeper. It's always now it's like super deep.
Oh, the struggle.
The struggle. It's just so real. So real. But yeah, that week, it's been a week, Krista. It's been a heck of a week, that's for sure. But we're here now. The episode comes out in less than 5 hours, but
yeah, exactly. I mean, this might be coming out a little late, but you guys won't know that.
You won't, because we're gonna get the audio out. That's easy enough. The video's coming tomorrow, but
if our cameras let us.
If our cameras let us, yes. But the audio will for sure be out midnight tonight.
Dun dun dun. Now I feel like the
Yes.
pressure is on.
What pressure?
I don't know. I feel like we just made a commitment. We have to do the audio tonight.
Well, as long as you get it uploaded.
That's the biggest struggle, the upload.
I'm able to download it, and I go, whoop. Gamers rise up.
Love it.
Yeah.
No, but Nick, it really has been a week.
Tell me about your week, Krista.
Okay. So, the car's dead.
Oh, no.
Essentially.
Oh, no.
I was all ready to get it new tires, get an oil change. I had an appointment scheduled.
The good deeds.
All of those really good things you should do for your car going into the fall, winter.
Absolutely.
I had it all set. What was the Sunday my appointment was? Friday is when everything went down.
It always happens.
Always happens that way. And I was just, regular Friday morning, on my way to work. Just got off the highway. Still on a major road. 10 minutes before I'm supposed to be at work. The car doesn't move.
Nope.
And the worst part was, some people were being real jerks about it. I pulled, I couldn't move. I put my hazards on straight away and started, waving for people to pass me.
Yep.
And some guy or a few people would roll down their windows and yell at me, "Get over to the side."
Yeah.
It's like, dude, if I could, I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trust me, I really wish I could have at that moment.
Well, that kind of happened to me not too long ago. Both of my headlights went out, but the switch that turns on my display lights, but also the headlights. I don't notice that they're out. I can still see the road. Some lights coming on in my car. I can see them in front of me. People are like, turn on your lights. I'm like, they're on. Turns out they were both burnt out.
Ah, but you
So
exactly you
how
can't
would I
tell
know
from
that?
inside your car.
How would I know that? So think about other people first. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, that's just annoying. Yeah, I was so stressed in that moment that a cop car, I saw this happen. They went all the way past me. And this is after I was able to turn off my car, and after 10 minutes, start it up again, and it was alive for 3 minutes, and I was able to get it pulled over to the side of the road. I couldn't get off the road because it's still a main road, but I was able to get into like a left-hand turn lane.
Right.
And it died again. So the cop saw me like, hand on the head, just being like, oh God, like trying to call my boss to tell them that I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to come in, or I'm going to be late, I don't know what's happening, calling my fiance to come pick me up. All these things happening, and the cop comes all the way around. I see him turn, do the U-turn, come around, pull up behind me, and gets out of his car, and I'm like, oh crap, like, am I going to get in trouble? Because I'm not pulled over all the way? Because, I have my hazards on. I don't know what else I can do. I've never really been in this situation before. So I get out, and I'm like, hi, good morning. And he's like, oh, I'm just checking to make sure you're okay. You looked a little stressed. And I was like, oh, okay. But, like, I also realized my privilege at that moment. I'm like, yes, I am a, like, cute, small, blonde girl. Right? I have the privilege of them checking in on me to make sure that, hey, do you know how to call a tow truck? Do you have someone to come get you because the tow truck can't drive you? And all those other details. And it's like, that was actually really nice, and shout out to him.
Very nice. But yes, we do have to recognize that doesn't necessarily happen all the time. But anyway.
Anyways,
we're glad it happened.
Anyways, got it kind of sorted. Couldn't go into work that day because it was dead. I couldn't get into work. I would not have been able to get home from work. The transit's not right near my work. I'd have to take 2 buses and the SkyTrain, which would have been possible. But by the time I get that figured out on a day like that, what's the point? And I need to take my car into a shop.
Stuff that has to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And my fiance was great. Came and picked me up, drove me in every single day this week.
Thoughtfulness.
I know. What an angel.
What a guy.
Yeah. But I'm very stoked, and I don't want to jinx it, but it looks like it's all going to be covered under a warranty, so.
We're hoping. Everybody, all you Kurds, we're pulling for that.
Yes, please put out those good vibes for me.
Yes, good vibes. Good vibes.
Good vibes only. But it was hard because it made me remember that I take so many things for granted. Right? Like, I take for granted having the freedom of having my car. That would work reliably. I've never had issues except for the battery dying, and that's an easy fix. Yeah, in and out. Take you an extra 10 minutes. You got it figured. But I just took my car for granted.
That's the way it goes.
And I miss Fifi.
Don't worry, Fifi's gonna come back. But
I hope so. She looks like she's getting resurrected. So.
But I mean, it is a good point to you take things for granted. You don't, as to say, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And like there's a whole bunch of things that potential, like say the car did die and it's not coming back. Like. Now there's a whole bunch of things that were on your plate that weren't before. You got to think about, well, how are you going to get to work? Are you going to buy a new car? Do you have enough money to buy a new car? Can you do this? Can you do that? What can you do?
And it's not easy to get a new car right now, Nick. I'll tell you that. There's a shortage.
There are. It's not these days, but that you realize you took it for granted. Like it's kind of like how honestly we take being young for granted. I mean, like, high school and elementary school, like, ain't no responsibilities, no this, no that. Now it's responsibilities and not this and not that. Like there's, and you take things for granted every day. I mean, the fact that I can sleep in a bed every day. If I got that taken away from me, like, you would realize how much you take it for granted.
Yeah, actually. And it's funny because the other night I had a few drinks with some friends. I only had 2 drinks, so I was okay to drive because this was over several hours, and we had dinner. And they're like, "Oh, you can sleep on the couch," and I was like, "No, my bed."
Yeah, I'd rather sleep in my bed.
Every single time, we'll pick my bed.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. But it is just interesting, but I think it's a thing with everybody, and I don't think really understands. But like, is there a way to, understand in the moment you're taking it for granted, and like you understand and acknowledge it, then after the fact, like reactive or proactive rather than reactive.
But I mean, is it just the act of acknowledging that or noticing? Is that enough?
I don't know.
Right?
Like what changes the fact that I understand I'm taking it for granted? You know what I mean?
Right? It's like, is there an action being taken after that? Not necessarily.
True.
Right?
It's not like if, say, I'm sleeping in a bed and take it for granted, that doesn't mean, like, am I tomorrow gonna donate to a homeless shelter or something like that? Like, theoretically, that could be something you do.
But how easy is that for people to act on? Right?
I feel like it's very hard. You forget about it.
It's hard to do the act of acknowledging something, and when people think about that, I think the concept of what you're trying to do gets lost.
Right.
Because you become so focused on, okay, now I gotta do this now. Okay, but why?
Yeah.
Where's that rooted?
It's a good question.
Right? And I feel like one of the biggest things I personally take for granted, or I value most, perhaps, is time.
Right.
And everything. Like last week when we were talking about burning out and those type of things, I noticed that all I wanted was more time in the day.
Right. Yeah, right? That was the short answer.
Right? Simple, short answer. I thought about it. I want more time. Why do I want more time? So I can actually do all the things I have set out in my mind, and also have time to recoup and relax, as we've discussed. That's so important.
Yeah, big part of it. It's tough. I mean, like, to be able to do that, to acknowledge and able to act on it, like we did talk about with burnout. Like, I have a hard time figuring out like what the answer would be to understanding it and grasping a hold of it. It seems like the only way is to really be reactive about it and be like, ah, damn, that was really nice.
Yeah, exactly. But when you think of acting on it, it's an action, right? It's to act.
Right.
How do we do that? How do we acknowledge that? It becomes acknowledged. Right? Is that, and there's just so many complicated reasons why A to B to C don't make sense.
Yeah.
You can't just go, okay, yep, that's fine. I'm going to appreciate my time when I get home to watch TV a little bit more now. It doesn't just work that way.
I guess it would. No, I guess it would depend on like what it is. Like, I feel like watching TV, like, while you can take it for granted, I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it all that more. I'm not gonna enjoy watching this one episode better because I realize, wow, if I couldn't watch this, I'd hate it.
But Nick, what about when there was no sports? When you didn't have the opportunity to watch it, when it came back the first day, I'm sure you acknowledged that. You're like, oh, how I missed it.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. Like, that was definitely a, oh, man, it really does suck without sports. And I say this often, like, I'm just like, how are people not fans of sports? Like, they're missing out. They're missing out about this stuff. And I guess for a sense, like, we did take it for granted, you know what I mean? Like, something like, I could say, like, the CFL. Like, the CFL isn't a big budget company, so they had to cancel the entire year last year. There was no CFL season. And, like, from, June to November, there's Friday night football, you know what I mean? But, realizing it, like I'm in middle of July and August, summertime, like half the time I'm going to a Lions game or I'm watching a Lions game. I know it's coming. Been doing this for 27 years.
True.
And, even my phone would still update. Like it had the schedule because I get like updated like, oh, the game's about to start. And it would just keep being like, Lions against Montreal tonight. I'm like, no, it's not. Fuckers.
You're like, lies. You're lying to me.
But, like I kind of thought about it and I'm like how will I feel about this? Like I personally, like I know people were like, oh, it's going to die. I know it's going to die. Like the CFL can't survive. They can't survive this. They did. They always do. and I just thought, like I was watching, it was more of like I guess what helped me was a sense I know it's coming back. Like I had no real worries that it was going to end. But even like you don't know. You know how we say we don't know until it's gone. You don't know until it's gone and has come back, which is a different feeling. Like I remember when the first game happened, a couple months ago, like I was like, holy shit, like I just missed this. Because the CFL is a different atmosphere than the NFL. We had an NFL season last year. It was weird not to have fans, but we had it. Like the CFL is a different animal. It's a different atmosphere. Like when you're watching a game, it's different. And to get those feelings back, like I've still yet to go to a game yet. Like the SFU broadcast I've been doing is still the only sporting event I've gone to since the Canucks game, which was the second game before they canceled everything. Like I haven't gone to a professional sports game since everything's back. More because I haven't had time than anything. No questions. I wanted to go to a Lions game, but like it's just different. It's that it was when it came back, I was like, oh my God, like I need this. This is way better.
But
than
Nick,
it was
you
before.
haven't gone to go see them.
Yeah, but just
and
watching
you're one of the biggest fans I know.
Just watching it, I was just like that's the thing. Like I just needed to watch it and get reinvigorated. Like my love for the CFL grew again. Like I wouldn't say
fell
like
back in love.
Well, it wasn't. I wouldn't say like it was like waning. Like I was like, oh, like it was deteriorating over time. Like I've definitely, just because my life has gotten busier, like I haven't been as big of a fan purely because I don't know everything about the league anymore. Like when I was a kid, like I could tell you anything, any player on any team, what they're doing, what position they play, what number they have. I lived for the CFL and I still do. You grow up, you don't have time to watch every game every week.
That is so true.
So, but, it's not more like when you're older, some things kind of feel like a chore, and watching sports can feel like a chore. It's like, it's the middle of Sunday. It's a glorious fall day today. What am I doing watching the Seahawks game?
Yeah. So when Nick and I were trying to figure out our podcast schedule this week, it was, okay, let's do Sunday, but not between 1 and 4.
Yeah. I was, I know I'm busy that time. But, it can control, it can kind of take over your life. And something that COVID helped, side note, it helped me understand, there are things I can do and I don't have to revolve it around sports. But just it coming back, losing it and it coming back was a feeling of, like you still get the feeling of like I took this for granted when we had it before. Because as I didn't think it was going to happen, there was a chance it wouldn't come back. And being able to have it come back, watch it, and I was like, oh, so good. It lasted a bit until, Lions kind of fucked up in week 1, but that was okay. But,
that's a different story.
But my point is like it was something really that doesn't matter. Like the CFL doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. It's not like that it makes me money. It's not like it saves the world. It's not, the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Sports don't entirely matter in the grand scheme of things in regard to, life, health, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But it was something as simple and something that I care about. And I was able to understand that. And, like now it's like I learned, you need to support these guys. For a league that wasn't able to go because of COVID, their primary revenue is people going to the games. It's not merch. It's not TV deals.
Yeah, it's their fan base.
So how do I support them? Going to the games. So it reinvigorated my, like I used to have season tickets and stuff like that, but this reinvigorated, like, when the company we used to work for, I got free Lions tickets all the time. But now I'm realizing, I should be paying for these tickets, like giving them the money.
Exactly, like actually supporting this.
Yeah, like, sure, it's $40, but times $40 by, if you filled the stadium, 56,000. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a large ass chunk of change for one day.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
for one day.
And you're not just supporting the Lions, you're supporting the people who work for the Lions. You're supporting the concession workers, the ticket people. Like, you're supporting a whole line of people.
And it's a community thing, too. It brings communities together when they have events. It's proven for communities.
Totally. I mean, like the Grey Cup Festival alone, like that brings everybody together. But again, you don't realize it till it's gone. You don't know what you have until it's gone. We reminisced about it for a year. Unfortunately, we're able to be back in that zone and be like, yes, we're here. We love it. And obviously, it's not as lucky for some things. I mean, like, you could take like when when your pet passes away. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really have the feeling of, like I took it for granted. You know what I mean? But you still get the feeling of it. You're just like, what I would give to go back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
if I had a little bit more time.
But you also understand that even after it's gone, you still appreciate what you had. I found that one was a little sobering in the sense of taking it for granted, just because you are. But it was like, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, I think that also relates to, like, family. Like, we've all seen Lion King. We know there's a circle of life, and it's hard to comprehend, but it's always one of those things that it's human nature to take people and things for granted, right? We don't think about the future in that negative context way of, this might be the last time this might be the last podcast I have with Nick. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
What if something happened that he had to end this podcast tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those things that we're not wired to think that way. If we do, you're going to become a very depressed, unhappy person, because that's very anxiety inducing to be living constantly in the past and future.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is not a fun place to be. So I don't think thinking like that is a good alternative either.
Well, that's a really good point to bring up. Like, we're talking about it. Is there an answer to understanding and taking things for granted? But you're right. Maybe it's the brain that's wired that way. Because, I mean, think about it. If you were to think that, like, this is our last podcast, or this is the last shift I'll ever work here, like, constantly you're worried that, this person's going to leave. My boyfriend is going to leave me. My girlfriend's going to leave me. If you're constantly thinking that, not only is that a bad mental health, but
you become so insecure.
Exactly. Like, it's almost a good thing that the brain kind of almost understands that this isn't how you should be thinking. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if anybody's watched The Office, and I guess spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen The Office by now, there's a scene where Michael leaves.
I think 10 years is enough time to just give spoilers, Nick.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I guess maybe somebody's in the middle of it, never seen it before, so I guess spoiler alert. That I already said what the spoil was. Anyway, so Michael leaves. And the way Jim goes through it, it was like, like he's like, when, they're like, saying goodbye. It's really tearful and everything. And he's like, no, this isn't goodbye. I'll tell you tomorrow at lunch. This isn't goodbye, but, they know they're not going to see each other tomorrow.
Yeah, it's almost a sense of denial.
Yeah, it's like, and tomorrow I'll tell you how great of a boss you were. And it's like, like they're leaving the door open. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not ending.
It's goodbye for now.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't know when they're going to come back. And, even last week, last week was the last week of Ultimate this year for, in the North Shore League. And,
yeah, because it's going to be too cold and wet.
Yeah. So, like people are like, see you next year and stuff like that. And somebody was just like, how about we just say, the usual, see you next week. Just not show up next week.
See you next Tuesday. Just kidding.
Like, blow it. Also, I never got where that's from. can you explain that to me after this? Because I don't know what that's from, and everybody says it, and I'm like, what the fuck is that from? Anyway, you know, like, but you know, we're making it like easy. You know what I mean? We're making it like a little less sad. You know, we're just being like, oh, see you next week, even though we know it's not going to happen. It's kind of tricking the brain. You know what I mean?
It's so you don't get too sad.
Yeah, exactly. But you could say that for everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, my fiance and I happened to go out with another newly engaged couple. It was their engagement party over the weekend, and so great. Congratulations to the two of them. Their friends and family were amazing. They're very welcoming, and I've heard of a lot of these people, but I haven't really met them, so it was really nice to be like, okay, like I know these people now.
Yeah, it's nice to put like a name to the face, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but long story short, the other couple, their parents, they have a 2.5-year-old. So as soon as they found out, because this was a surprise thing, as soon as they found out they had the rest of the day off and didn't have to look after the kid for the night, they were ready to go.
Well, sure. You know, that's parenthood,
They're like,
right?
okay, so what are we doing after the party?
Yeah.
Type of thing. And it's like, right, you forget that this isn't a normal thing for them.
Totally.
And like my fiance and I, we were almost taking granted for kind of the time we spend together, because we're like, oh yeah, we did this last Friday, blah blah. Like every Friday I'm like, let's get litty titty. Doesn't matter what we're doing that night. I might just be wearing sweatpants, we might be watching a movie, or like I might go straight to bed, or I might be going to the gym. That every Friday is my thing. I say, let's get litty titty.
What is that thing?
I'm so stoked for it to be the weekend. But again, they're like, oh my God, how nice is it that you get every Saturday to your, like basically every Saturday to yourselves? I'm like, right.
Well, yeah, you don't think about like every Friday I get off, you know what I mean? And even like in general, like being single, for example, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like at this juncture, I could do anything I want. You know, I don't have to tell anybody. I don't have to ask anybody. I can just hop in my truck and go.
Yeah, true. You don't have to say, oh, I'm hanging out with this person tonight.
Yeah.
And just letting them know that you're going to be unavailable.
Yeah, but, you know, with a girlfriend, it's more like, A, you ask them if they can come or if they want to come. Or B, just, you know, knowing they're busy and be like, oh, this is what I'm doing tonight, just letting you know. You know what I mean? Like just you kind of have to keep in the loop, and it is something you take for granted, you know, especially when once you have somebody, you know, you realize like you have to do things with these person. They have to know, not necessarily where you are at all times, but you have to keep them somewhat informed.
Yeah, they need like kind of for safety reasons too.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, oh, you know, we're going to this person's house. Oh, we're going to this bar. You know, like it doesn't have to be like, you know, you'll explain everything afterward when you see them after, but that, you know, like it is something you take for granted that I can just come home and not tell anybody what the hell I've done today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I was single, living on my own, I didn't have to tell my mom like where I was.
Yeah.
Right? She didn't know that I left the house at 10 p.m. that night.
Yeah.
It's those little things, but now that I'm living with someone, if I left the house at 10 p.m. tonight,
they'd wonder what the hell.
Yeah, I would need to tell them. They'd be like, Krista, what's going on?
Krista, what you doing there, pal?
Yeah. Don't you work tomorrow?
Yeah, well, exactly. Like you get the thoughts, of course. That's.
Yeah,
but you take it for granted.
Yeah, exactly. And with that couple that we saw, we ended up going back to their place after dinner just to have one more type of nightcap thing. And what the guy really wanted to do was play a video game with my fiance, because they're like, we never get to do this. And he's like, oh, the last time I got to sit down and play a video game, you know? Yeah. I'm like, right. Okay. Like, yeah.
You can't take that away from them. Kind of
can't take that away from them. Not at all.
Nope. Yeah.
So the girl and I, we turned on some Vampire Diaries and started binging.
Yeah, you gotta do the girl thing. You guys do the guy
and then it's like 3 episodes later, and it's like, okay, we should go now. Yeah, but it's so weird because it's like, yeah, you understand what it kind of takes to be a parent because we all have grown up and seen our parents make sacrifices for us.
But you don't know until you're in it.
yeah, you don't actually know till you have to do it. But when you start seeing people your age having to do that stuff, I think it becomes a little bit more real.
Yeah, well, for sure, especially when, I think both you and I can attest, when the sibling has one, you know, not just your parents, people start asking you. They're like, Nick, so you gonna have kids? I'm like, yeah. They're like, when? I'm like, I need the other half first.
Yeah, that's funny.
There's an important tidbit to that. I need a second person for this, and I don't have that person.
Yeah, like I don't make those rules.
It's like, they're like, well, why not? I'm like, great fucking question.
Yeah, actually though, if you could tell me.
If you could tell me, man, just tell me. I don't have an answer for you. But, like they start bringing it up. They start asking questions. You're like,
Nick's like, I missed 3 months ago.
honestly, not really. No. I'm
Just
excited about our
kidding.
niece. We love our niece. She's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is my child. This is my baby right here. This is my baby.
It's your fur baby.
This is my little cutie. Mwah. But yeah, no, exactly. Like it's kind of interesting that something for granted goes person to person. Like, for example, like the baby thing. You don't have a baby, but they do. You guys can play video games all night. They can't.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that we're not going to boil this down to that argument that, child in Africa would kill to have what you have.
No,
that age-old
obviously.
argument that you should be grateful.
We're not. No, we understand that.
We understand that, but it's just first world problems,
Yeah. Well,
Like-
exactly.
Exactly, and for a lot of people, I feel like their main problem, it has to do under like 4 categories, and this is like time, money, there's probably 2 more. Those pop up on the top of my head for like granted, and I mean like besides like the common like family thing. Okay, let's do that. Family, time, money, and your health.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things everyone tells you, oh, like you got to be thankful for your health.
Yep.
And absolutely.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. Absolutely. Yep.
But
yeah, how can you? Yeah.
yeah, and I don't want it taking something sad or terrible happening for you to appreciate that.
Yeah. No, you don't. You don't. Obviously, you don't. But that's usually when you notice it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong? Like, it's usually something sad when you notice it. Like say, there was that friend in high school you had, and you diverged. I mean, just that's what happens in life. But you're kind of like, oh man. Like you didn't lose interest because of any reason other than you took different life paths. And you're like, damn.
Oh, damn.
But like it's just most of the things you realize you took for granted are generally sad things.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think it also happens during happy reasons too sometimes.
Right.
Like, I feel like sometimes when you're celebrating and you look around and you're like, wow, these people helped me get to where I am.
Right.
Right? People have that realization too.
Totally.
But one of the ways that I think that people could maybe bring more gratitude in their life easily and not take things for maybe granted is doing gratitude journaling. It's been a huge pop-up thing on TikTok. I started doing it before that.
oh, look at you, Krista.
Look at me.
Krista the
but the
hipster.
one that's popular on TikTok is just the 5-minute journal. It's essentially you sit down for approximately about 5 minutes a day, whatever time you can fit that in. And it has some prompts in there for you that are list the 5 things you're grateful for. How did you feel today? What's an affirmation that you wish you could tell yourself? And then usually like some sort of quote or something.
Right.
So it just kind of pops in your mind and it tries to urge you not to write the same thing in a row.
Right.
So it's not like you're saying every single day the same thing, even though you might very well be grateful for the same thing every day because those are great things
Right, but it's nice to change it up. Not saying like, oh, I'm thankful for my car every day. It's like one day you're thankful for your car, the next day you're thankful for your dog or your cat.
Dog or
Thank.
cat, quality time,
Yep.
something nice a stranger might have said to you. The ability to work or go to work.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think everyone can relate. Work we don't want to go to. There's a reason you kind of get paid. But then other times you're like, wow, this is great. I feel utilized. I feel like I'm actually doing something.
But yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, like, especially work, like, just a little tangent here. I mean, like, what have we been in the last year and a half? COVID. Like, a lot of people were, potentially laid off or just weren't able to, they worked from home. Like, it wasn't like the normal work stuff. Something I've been working, like my normal job this whole time. But people were like, I took it for granted. Like, working from, you think working from home is the greatest thing ever. When in actuality, it's not really. Like, in most places, it can be really social to go out. You know what I mean? Like go to work and, be able to see people, see things. Like it's not that glamorous. But you took it for granted. Like you may have hated it, but now spending a year at home, you're like, maybe I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. It's like, wow, I need that social aspect. I need to be able to talk to people and to do things and have people notice. Because I feel like when you're also working from home, it's harder to notice if someone's going a little bit above and beyond, right? Because
totally.
Everything's done virtually. So
yeah, like how would you know?
Yeah, how do you know? And some people are more flexible that you can work like different hours, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's you take it for granted. You don't realize it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't know if there is a way that is surefire to work and what will work for people. Like, Nick, what do you think you take for granted besides sports? When sports were gone.
I guess, like I took for granted, like, honestly, like the city of Vancouver, like, especially like we're a very tourism based city. Like, people come from all over the world to Vancouver. It's a pretty well known city.
Mm-hmm.
But without all the tourists, and I'm not saying they're bad or anything. I'm just like something like Stanley Park opened up. Like
Right.
I was able to, walk the seawall, bike the seawall, these things that weren't always available to me were. And, I kind of like, I guess just the whole time, it's like, when people come here, they're always like, you have so much to do here. And all of us replied, no, what?
Yeah, that's true.
What are you talking about? No, we don't. But I think that's a sense of taking it for granted. We know what we have, but every time somebody comes, like I'm taking them around the town, they always find something that we didn't have, that I didn't know we had before.
Like what?
I don't know. Like, like one time, I went with a friend from Germany, and we went to Granville Island.
Oh, I always forget about Granville Island too. I don't know why.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's not exactly a normal thing, and it's just like we got a lot of cool things to do here. So like, it's always, like I feel like sometimes I just feel like it'll always be there kind of thing, and
yeah.
I mean, sure, Stanley Park isn't going anywhere, but it's not always available to me. And it's just more like, why not take that, like, say today, for example, like, why not just take the day and bike around the seawall,
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. And, I mean, other things that I feel like I take for granted within the city of Vancouver that I typically would do every year and haven't is go support the arts, seeing plays.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a play or anything in so long.
Yeah.
And the other day, my sister sent me something that's coming to, I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want other people buying tickets, and so I can't buy tickets. But once I get tickets, I will announce what I'm really excited about. But
Right.
it's coming to the Queen Elizabeth, so it's exciting. And it's like
Queenie.
all the way in, I'm not going to even say the month because I don't want to give it away, but it's a whiles away. But I was like, wow, that's so exciting. But
Yeah.
before that moment, didn't really ever pop into my head
Yeah.
as something that I'd want to go do. And for example, Granville Island, great thing that I used to love going to go do.
The improv.
Improv league.
Yep.
Exactly. And it's one of those things that I feel like, oh, right, that's really unique to have.
Especially like
So
right there.
so readily available.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, even like I could say, like there was a show announcement for, Billy Talent. In the West, they're
I saw
coming
that.
with nobody, but in the East, they're with Rise Against, and I'm like, fuck you guys. But I bought tickets at the Toronto show. Why? Couldn't tell you. But the thing is, I have friends in Toronto who would happily let me stay there. But it's like I kind of thought about it, like it's like I'm kind of taking this for granted. The ability, to just fly to Toronto, spend a weekend there with some family friends, go see Rise Against. It's like not everybody is readily available or can afford to fly all the way to Toronto to just go see Rise Against. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep, that's a very true statement.
like, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty cool.
Oh, or to know that your job currently would let you do that, and since
Totally.
you've already booked it, I don't think a job would not hire you because you're like, hey, I have this already booked. So to also have that securement.
That is very true. Like to have a job, to know that you could take 4 or 5 days off to just go do this thing that pointless, but hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. But lots of people have, like, it might be during a blackout period.
You never know, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Things we take for granted, Krista.
It's a big list.
I think it's too long of a list, but
it's scary.
But I think most people do understand, and there's a few people in this world that obviously don't understand, but we understand the ability and the the things that we take for granted, and the people around us, the things we do, the things we see, the abilities we have. Like, we all understand it, and we shouldn't be making fun of that, but we should understand,
that does happen,
It
and
does.
that the simple act of acknowledging helps you to become more aware of the situation, and perhaps it's the first step of taking action towards that.
Yep.
Right?
It's
It's one of those things that's like, oh, right, I remember that.
Yeah.
And that, at the root of it, that's kind of meditation and other things that people somehow can bring more enlightenment to their life, is because meditating is kind of noticing things, right?
Yep.
It's noticing that your mind's wandering off and trying to clear your mind. I don't actually understand meditation, so I could be completely wrong, and you can tell me that. But every time I've tried to meditate, typically it's like, oh, look at that. Oh, wait, why am I thinking about that? And then bringing it back.
The one time I truly meditated was actually a pretty surreal experience.
Whoa.
But you gotta have somebody who knows what the hell they're doing to really do it. But you're right, though. It is in a sense a little.
Nick became meta.
It was pretty weird, I gotta say. It was pretty weird. Like, I was able to visually see everything. I was like, wow, is this how it works?
Wow, that's so cool.
It was cool. But anyway, yeah, that was.
Anyways, I just hope that people take that and notice it.
Yeah, we can.
I think that's the least, or the beginning of something, at least.
It's the start of something new.
That was really hard for me not to break out into song there.
The start of something new.
Ha ha ha. Anyways, I feel like I can be done with that.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's do this thing. Okay. Are we ready for questions of the week?
That was impressive.
I could have probably gone for a little longer too.
I'm sure you
I think
could
I
have.
got enough breath beforehand.
That was pretty impressive. I'll give you props on that one.
Thank you. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Hi, Nick and Krista. With the world reopening again, how do you politely tell your friends that you don't want to spend that much money on something? Typically, one event will lead to another. But I don't want to continue to the other one because I don't have time or money for that. How do I get out of that nicely? That's a good question.
It is. But I think in this day and age, you're more than capable to just be like, hey, I could do this one thing, but, next time it comes around, I can't do that.
I can... Sorry, go finish.
No, that was pretty much it.
I can relate to that question because I'm dealing with something similar, kind of. My friend's birthday is coming up next weekend, and they want to go to a restaurant, but to make a reservation for 10 people due to the capacity limits, you need like a guaranteed spend, and you need to purchase a package for that guaranteed spend. So basically it's like 36 Coronas or something.
Jesus.
For $500.
What?
Not including tax.
Where the frig are you going? Damn.
I know. And it's like, okay, so I can get 3 drinks for $50. That's kind of what it breaks down to.
Yeah.
But then tax and other things, it's like, okay, 3 drinks for $60.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, $15 per drink, kind of, but it's a Corona.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the only person in the group to say no, but again, this is my friend's birthday. It's what they really want to do. So you say yes, but I hope that's it. Right?
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't turn into a dinner, another thing, and another thing. So I do understand that question.
Yeah. But again, I just feel like it's okay. Like quick example, like, me and a friend were planning, like we hadn't seen each other obviously pretty much during all of COVID, and we're like, oh, let's go for pizza. There's a pizza place we go to all the time. Like it was down, and then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, like my car happened, I got to get this replaced, it's a lot of money. My hours got stepped down because I went back to school. I'm like, I just don't know if I can afford that right now. They apologized profusely, but it was like, I get it. Of course I get it. Like, you understand that it's a struggle for these people to happen. Like obviously my situation is a little different than Krista because, there's a bunch of people, and if there's 10 people invited and, you bring it down to 9, it's like, well, what happens here? But
right? It's like, does this ruin the dynamics of everything?
In some cases, your hands are tied, but it should be reasonable enough for people to understand that you can't afford to do it or don't want to do it. And I fully understand the birthday card, There are people in my life that have definitely tried to pull that. And,
birthday month, birthday week.
It's my birthday day, we gotta do this. And it's like... And, the second you say no, they kind of give you those sad eyes. They're like, but, and you're just like...
I'm the big birthday lover, so I'm the person that will say yes because I myself always want to do things.
Right.
And I expect everyone else just to want to do things too.
But you should. Like, you're allowed to say no, and you're allowed to cite the reason of not enough money.
I don't even think you should have to explain yourself.
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
But most people are going to ask.
If you already said yes and they were counting on you for something, perhaps give them a reason because your friends will understand at the end of the day.
And if they don't, they ain't your friends.
Mm-hmm. That was so sassy, Nick.
I got the sassy side.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, I hope that answers your question. If they're your real friends, they'll understand. Or figure it out. Okay, you ready for the next one?
I also have one.
Oh, okay, you say yours and then I'll read the other one.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so hello, Nick and Krista. A friend of mine said, "How are you single?" and they seemed pretty genuine about it. I took it fine, but afterward I was thinking, is that kind of insulting to say or not? Like I don't really feel that way, but I could see it. So basically you're asking is if somebody says, "How are you single?" is that kind of insulting?
And like, how are you supposed to respond to something like that too?
I mean, I've had that said to me quite a few times from people, and I'm just be like, "I know."
Well, but like, actually, what are you supposed to say? Oh, it's because I have a bad personality.
Yeah,
like,
make them
could you
feel bad
imagine
about it.
what they would do if you said that?
Yeah, you make them feel bad about it. Like, oh, it's this. I'm like, oh.
Right? Oh, it's like, oh, it's this deep, dark issue I have with men.
Yeah, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess to answer your question, like, obviously, I don't think they mean it in an insulting way.
No, I think it's supposed to be a compliment.
Like,
I think they're trying
it's
to
one
be
of
like,
those,
they're there.
It's one of those, like, it's a compliment, but sounds like an insult. Then again, I don't know if you should really be saying that to somebody, because it could hurt, like, say this person's, been asking people for months, and nobody's saying yes.
Yeah, true.
Like,
I kind of think of it kind of different in the guy's shoe than the girl's shoes.
Yeah, well, you never know, right? Like this person could be having a hard time with it, like sure, maybe they're great to you, but apparently not enough people see that. Again, I don't personally feel that way. Like, I don't feel insulted by it. But I can see where that would come from, and some people might be insulted by it. I guess try to roll with it. Be like, whatever, like, yeah, I know, like, totally. Like, how do people not love me? Like, take that run, or as Krista said, make them feel bad, because it's pretty funny to watch them,
Okay, I don't want to make them feel bad, but...
Well, no, they're, but I mean, like, if they ask that, you're just like, must be this, like my bad habit, my video game habit. Or,
yeah, it's the way I chew my food.
Right, exactly. Like we're really just making it kind of awkward.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I mean, I've definitely pulled that card before.
Yeah.
It is funny to watch people to kind of be like, ooh, I wasn't expecting an answer.
Yeah, like, it comes out of your mouth, you're like, you think about it, and you're like, wait, what?
Typically, these people are in relationships themselves,
yes.
And they're trying to just comfort you and be like, but you're such a catch.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to say.
Great. Doesn't help me.
Right? Still. You tell me.
Yeah. No, you'll be fine.
Okay. Great. I think we have time for one more.
I think we do.
No?
Yeah, no, I think we do.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Dear Nick and Krista, I'm very insecure about my weight. What can I do about this? You both seem so confident on the pod. Aw.
How do you feel confident about your weight? That is a tough question.
I mean, I think if anything, it's dealing with insecurities all the same way. Realizing that it is an insecurity of yours. Again, going back to that action of noticing.
Yeah.
And why does that make you feel bad, right? Is it because it's the outside comments that are coming at you, or is it the internal things?
Yeah.
And asking yourself, is there anything I can do to change this? Do I have supportive people in my life that I can talk about this with?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you say that we both sound confident. Thank you. We're both pretty positive people. I think that really helps doing it. I mean, but you also need that kind of sense of confidence and cockiness. Like,
just a little bit of cockiness or narcissistic.
But that's just what I mean. Like, like, you may be a little insecure, and that's totally normal for people to feel. But, to be okay with yourself. That's, I guess, the bottom line, just like, have the confidence, like, when people say, oh, you look good today, instead of replying, like, oh no, I feel fat, be
say
like,
thank you.
Yeah, just be like, yeah, I do. Thank you. I know I do. Like, I guess it's a little weird to be narcissistic about it, but it reinforces positivity. It leads to good things. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a lot easier being said than done. Like, I'm not just saying this and then I expect you to be fine. But work on it. Just be positive. Understand, like, it's not it. This isn't the '90s anymore. You don't have to be this anymore. You know, you don't have to be Barbie. It's okay to be who you are, and it's okay to want to improve yourself. You know, if you feel a little big, that's fine. You can play it off, but you can work towards it. You can understand that. Talk about that with a friend or something and be like, you know, like I feel insecure, but I want to work on it. You know, I want to bring myself, you know, a little more lean.
Yeah, or if you're happy with how you are, but you're just insecure about what you're wearing, like, because of weight doesn't mean you're ugly. Like that, those things,
100%.
two things do not correlate.
They do not.
And it is a community thing that is hard for people to figure out. There is no magic answer for that. I think it is figuring out what works well for you, or else, I don't know. I feel like the world would be working a lot better if we had those type of answers.
It would be a heck of a lot better, but just know you're amazing. You probably look amazing right now and you're listening to us. So just stay amazing and be positive about it.
Yeah, we love you.
We do. We really stand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for writing that in.
Yes.
Okay. Recommendations of the week.
It started so beautiful, and then
it started beautiful though.
it did. It was really nice. I was like, "Oh, Krista's got a voice."
Wow, I know, it's so funny. I've had a few people tell me that they think I can sing because I start off with like one lyric that I'm like, oh,
you know how to do it.
That's not super pitchy. That's okay.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That's all.
The second you go up or down, it's like, oh, we're done here.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
The best part is going up and down.
It's true. It's the same way. I'm the same way.
Anyway. Okay, Nick, are you ready? Can you hit me with yours?
Can I hit you with my recommendation? What is my recommendation? That's a great question. I mean, I guess I recommend. It's fall now, right? Yes. Or it's October.
It is. It is October.
Based on today, I'm going to say take advantage of days like these because, you know, we're in for about 6 months of rain.
Ew,
so
don't remind me.
If it's sunny or, you know, it's not raining, you know, get outside, be active, have some fun, you know, and don't necessarily have to be outside.
But if you can.
If you can,
try.
It's great. You know, just utilize your time well, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, recommend to go do something that you wouldn't normally do.
I like that.
Yes.
It's a good physical suggestion. Mine's a physical suggestion this week, too.
Let's get physical.
Yeah, physical. Anyways, my suggestion is to take the time to treat yourself while you're grocery shopping. Like, go with your significant other or a partner or just a friend and have a fun shop. You know, get the necessities of the chicken, the rice, whatever. But then get the fun stuff. Go into the home side of the superstore or something. They might have something really cool, like some pillows that you can sit on to eat, which I really want. Then just actually have fun shopping. I feel like it's become such a chore for so many people these days that we forget that it can be fun to go out and have a grocery shop.
Fair enough. That's not a bad idea.
My recommendation for the week for ya.
Team shop.
Team shop.
Not a terrible idea. I like it.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you, and yes, we'd like to thank you and thank everybody, especially Dennis O'Neill, for making this podcast happen and being a fan of us. And we're sorry to see him go, but we continue on, and we'll be okay, and we'll be back at it again next week with more Discontinued Gravy.